All right, guys. So we are at one of the most interesting points in politics that I have ever seen. Okay, because we have Republicans now advocating for things that they spoke out against for a long time. Okay, and the reason why is because the woke corporations have turned on conservatives, right? And this has caused Republicans to reevaluate some long-held positions, right, that they've argued for in the past, right? And I'm just keeping it real, right? This is what's happening, right? A political realignment could be on the horizon, right? And Mitch McConnell, who is the leader of the Republican Party, at least in the Senate, has come out and issued a very strong statement in regards to corporations and their influence on politics. Okay, and this is interesting because Mitch McConnell had said some things in the past about corporations and politics that we're going to talk about later, but I do want to read this statement that he issued because it really does say a lot about where we currently at in politics and where we may be headed into the future. So let's read it here. McConnell: corporations shouldn't fall for absurd disinformation on voting laws. Quote: we are witnessing a coordinated campaign by powerful and wealthy people to mislead and bully the American people. The president has claimed repeatedly that state-level debates over voting procedures are worse than Jim Crow or Jim Crow on steroids. Nobody actually believes this. Nobody really thinks this current dispute comes anywhere near the horrific racist brutality of segregation. But there's an old cynical saying that history is just the set of laws agreed upon, and a host of powerful people and institutions apparently think they stand to benefit from parroting this big lie. The Washington Post has repeatedly debunked White House lies about legislation in Georgia. In reality, election day hours were not changed, and the opportunities to cast a ballot in early voting were expanded. Plenty of Democrat-run states allow fewer days of early voting than the new Georgia law requires. More than 70% of Americans, including a majority of Democrats and a supermajority of independents, favor common sense voter ID requirements. Even so, Georgia will accept alternatives to driver's license to verify absentee voters. All the facts disprove the big lie. These absurd tactics predate this Georgia law. Last summer, just weeks after Senate Democrats used the filibuster to kill Senator Tim Scott's police reform and anti-lynching legislation, Democrats abruptly began calling the same rules they happily use themselves a Jim Crow relic. This disinformation has a purpose. Washington Democrats want to pass a sweeping bill that will let them rewrite all 50 states' election laws and turn the Federal Election Commission into a Democrat-run partisan body. This power grab is impossible to defend, so the left wants to deflect. Instead of winning the debate, they want to silence debate by bullying citizens and entire states into submission. It's jaw-dropping to see powerful American institutions not just permit themselves to be bullied, but join in the bullying themselves. Wealthy corporations have no problem operating in New York, for example, which has fewer days of early voting than Georgia, requires excuses for absentee ballots, and restricts electioneering via refreshments. There's no consistent or factual standard being applied here. It's just a fake narrative gaining speed by its own momentum. Our private sector must stop taking cues from the outraged industrial complex. Americans do not need or want big business to amplify disinformation or react to every manufactured controversy with frantic left-wing signaling. From election law to environmentalism to radical social agendas to the Second Amendment, parts of the private sector keep dabbling and behaving like a woke parallel government. Corporations will invite serious consequences if they become a vehicle for far left mobs to hijack our country from outside the constitutional order. Businesses must not use economic blackmail to spread disinformation and to push bad ideas and that citizens reject at the ballot box. That, to me, guys, sounds like Mitch McConnell actively advocating for corporations to have limited free speech, right? And this is important, guys. This is important. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Mitch McConnell fought for years with John McCain in the Senate on the topic of campaign finance reform, which basically revolves around big corporate America's ability to influence politics, okay? This revolves around the idea of whether or not big private corporations are citizens. Do they have First Amendment rights? And Mitch McConnell was a strong supporter of these corporations' rights to interfere in politics, right? To have an unlimited amount of money in politics. If you don't believe me, take a look at his comments on the subject at a dinner in 2011.
I think the fact that more people are speaking out is a good thing for America, not a bad thing. What Citizens United basically did was level the playing field. As you all know, prior to Citizens United, if you were a company that owned a newspaper, you could say whatever you wanted to about any candidate up to and including the day of the election, including endorsing one. Why should a corporation...
You knew the owner of the newspaper at that point. I mean, I'm wondering if there's no corrosive effect in your mind at all on people coming in and spending this kind of money?
No, absolutely not. I think that the more the public is engaged, look, we've got a massive government. We're spending $3.7 trillion this year. We're only taking in 2.2, which gets us back to our earlier discussion. But my view is the American citizens have to have an opportunity to push back against this massive overreaching government that is trying to regulate every aspect of our lives. And the way you push back in a country of over $300 million is to have a voice. And you all are fortunate enough to work for corporations that always were free to say whatever they wanted to say at any point up to and including the day of the election. But if you were a corporation that wasn't lucky enough to own a newspaper, you weren't. So all Citizens United basically did was to level the playing field for corporate America and for union America and say, you, like a media company, can participate, not in giving directly to candidates, that's still prohibited, and should be, I don't have any problem with that, but to independently express your views about anything in this country. Why shouldn't everybody be free to do that? And so I think it was a terrific decision. I don't think there's any harmful consequences to come out of it. Everybody's free to have their fair say. And I know it's exasperating to a lot of you guys because you've always been free to say whatever you wanted to. Now everybody else can. And so, you know, there are more voices in America speaking up. I don't find that a problem.
Guys, I'm just being real. I'm keeping it real. This is the exact opposite of what the statement he just issued, right? I mean, the last sentence says, businesses must not use economic blackmail to spread disinformation and push bad ideas that citizens reject at the ballot box, right? He's essentially telling corporations to stay out of politics. Now, I do agree with 2021's Mitch McConnell, right? But even before all this woke stuff started happening, I've been talking about the influence of money in politics, you know, before all this stuff kicked up, okay? Because, again, in politics, guys, the pendulum always swings the other way, right? When these corporations were not woke, Mitch McConnell thought it was a good idea for them to have unlimited sums of money to influence politics. That's what he thought, right? There's a interesting NPR article that quotes Mitch McConnell, right, in the 70s when he was a professor, where he literally said, if you want to succeed in politics and be in politics, what you need is money, 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 okay? He's always felt strongly about this. And now for him to come out and issue this statement, I'm telling you guys, this is absolutely fascinating, right? It is so interesting to see these Republicans now starting to evolve on these issues and to align themselves in certain positions that they didn't used to take. Okay? That's just what it is, right? Another example of this would be how Republicans are also threatening tax hikes to punish companies that criticize this voting law, right? Now, they're coming out and they're saying, hey, we might increase taxes on these people, right? And they're also encouraging local legislators to do the same thing, right? And this is the type of stuff that you're saying from prominent Republicans, right? Not just the Mitch McConnells of the world, but you have Josh Hawley, Mike Lee, Donald Trump Jr., Marco Rubio. I'm just saying, right? These are not standard Republican talking points. And to me, that signals that the Republican Party is about to go through some changes, and they're about to go through an identity crisis in terms of who they are. Okay? And the reason why, guys, is because when the party has been as business friendly as it's been, when these businesses that they've been so friendly to, right, that they spent years, right, saying that, hey, you know what? If we are as business friendly as possible, if we cut back government regulation, if we lower taxes, then it's going to be better for everybody else. The working class will benefit. That's what they said, right? That has been the GOP talking point. And it's just going to be fascinating to see how they're able to balance this talking point, right? This ideology that they've had ever since Reagan with the modern day problem of these woke corporations not being on board with conservative ideology anymore, right? These woke corporations now believe that conservative America does not have enough money to justify them not standing up for what they see as civil rights issues, right? That's what's happening. Corporate America has aligned themselves where they think the money is at now, right? And again, it's just ironic how the Republicans spent all this time building this up just for these corporations to turn on them when the money no longer is aligned with the conservative movement, right? And it just goes to show these corporations will do whatever they want. They will do whatever lines their pockets. They don't have morals and values and principles, right? I talked about the term woke capitalism a long time ago, right? And again, these companies are like chameleons. They will camouflage themselves any way they can as long as it equals more profits. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing, right? I'm a capitalist. Of course, these corporations should do that, right? That's what they should try to do. But these politicians have enabled these corporations to do this to the extent where they now can influence politics to an unlimited level because of Supreme Court decisions like Citizens United, right? In which Mitch McConnell supported. Mitch McConnell was a supporter of this system because it benefited him at the time. But it's the same reason why I tell these woke people, hey, listen, y'all want to be careful about this censorship, right? It works for you now, but 20, 30 years from now, it might not work for you anymore. The pendulum always swings the other way. And the Republicans should have saw this coming when they were fighting John McCain when he wanted to have stricter rules around the influence of money in politics. Now the Republicans are crying foul because now it hurts them, something that they supported in the past, right? And Mitch McConnell is the main hypocrite right now, right? It really is quite interesting to see that type of statement from Mitch McConnell, considering all the things he said, right? His ideology that he's had ever since he entered politics when it comes to corporate influence. He's never had a problem with it until now. Now that it doesn't allow him to win anymore, Now he has an issue with it. And I'm not saying that his position right now is not correct. If that's truly his position, we won't know yet. But moving forward, I think that the GOP is going to go through some changes. They're going to start using language that's not going to be traditionally conservative because it just is not going to work for them anymore, right? It's not working for the current situation we're in this country. So this party, I think, is going to go in a direction in which the history books may define as another realignment, right? Kind of how, before Reagan, the Republicans were more, government friendly, right? And then after Reagan, the Republicans became a lot more business friendly, right? So who knows? Who knows? But this will be fascinating to watch. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.